everyone. Welcome to the Marketing Leaders panel. It's amazing to be here in London for the Work Innovation Summit. And we're just coming fresh out of the keynote. And as you guys heard, we're in a whole new era of work all around humans and AI collaboration. And I think what's really interesting is we as marketers, I think every few years, we're having to reinvent ourselves really and push the boundaries of being a modern marketer. And the last time I felt this really acutely was when social and mobile really came onto the scene. We had to really rethink our platforms and also the channels in which we're marketing. And in this inflection point now, as we're thinking about the agentic enterprise, not only are we having to revisit the platforms and the channels again, we're also having to revisit the way that we work. And so this is going to be a real authentic conversation with three amazing marketing leaders who are navigating a lot of these changes like we all are. So I'm super, super excited to be having this conversation. So let's go ahead and just get into it without further ado and start with some intros. I would love for you guys to share who you are, what you do, and the company that you work at. So, Lisa, why don't we start with you?
Great. Thanks for having me. It was really great to be here. Love that keynote. It was amazing to see everything you guys are working on. So, hi, everyone. I'm Lisa. I'm the VP of Marketing at a company called Awin. So, we are a global technology platform that specializes in the affiliate and partner marketing industry. I've been with the company for 16 years, and I've been an Asana user for 12 of those years. So, yeah, and that's perfect time for
I know.
Vicky coming back.
Sorry, everyone. I had technical problems. Hello, everyone. My name is Vicky McNamara. I am VP of Marketing at Workday. I head up the fabulous field marketing team where we bring all that power of marketing together and we integrate it to generate pipeline.
Hi, I'm Angela. I've got a mouthful of a title. I'm head of internal creative agency at E.ON Next. Some of you may know our mother brand, which is E.ON. We're a B2C brand in market selling energy and gas, as well as a whole bunch of solutions. And I look after an incredible team of creatives, so slightly different in lens to Vicky and Lisa. But yes, a bunch of creatives who bring all our wonderful marketing campaigns to life.
Awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I think one of the most interesting parts of being a marketer is the fact that marketing is it's part art, part science, right? We're really on the hook for bringing our brand expression to life. We also have to deliver on programs that drive impact to pipeline and revenue. And then on top of that, my CFO is walking around. Hopefully, she's not in this session right now. But we're constantly being asked to do more with less and to show the metrics and the impact at every single step of the way. And that is a lot to reconcile. I'm actually exhausted just saying all these things. And so I would love to talk about, how we think about reconciling these things and how that helps drive prioritization. And so, Vicky, why don't we start with you?
Thanks, Jess. And you're so right. It's pretty tough at the moment. Budgets are tight, resources are under the spotlight, the buying landscape's changed, or production has changed as well. So for me, it's just we need a North Star in marketing. And that for me is a go-to-market plan. And it's a plan that's really built on data. So where are the opportunities? We know our audience, we're marketers, we know our audience, we know our market, we know our products, but it's all about the opportunity, the short and the long term. And that becomes my North Star. So I use data such as, spend forecasts and TAM and CRM and maturity models, etc. And that's really important because when those pressures come in, which they all do in marketing, they happen, is I have the plan that's a short term, but with a long term strategic objective. So then with a short term plan, I sort of know what's working. And so I turn it up. And if a priority comes in that I know we can't win as a business. We can't win because we're not mature enough or we don't have it in the market already. And in marketing, it's informing sales that we're a big tanker, we're a growth engine. We can't suddenly just turn something around. So that's why the plan's so important. But the key thing is the alignment with the business, the integration. And that's where tools like Asana help this is a plan that the whole business gets behind because it is built on that data where the opportunity is. So I don't burn out my team, but I have the confidence to say no, and I have the confidence to flex as well.
Yeah. What I really love about that is just you really have this visibility into how your goals are connected to the company goals. And I find that often, it really helps your team and rally your team for them to see how they impact the larger company goals. So I think that's great.
Mm.
Um, okay, so as we, think about like when the rubber meets the road and how you actually manage the resources and prioritize, how do you like prioritize effectively? I'm going to ask you, Lisa, to help answer this one.
Yeah, it's a really interesting concept. I think tying everything to company goals and making sure people feel like they're really working on meaningful projects that are going to,
Mm.
really move the needle in the business. Nobody wants to be just working on the BAU side of stuff. They want to feel like they're making an impact. And I think it's really important that we adequately challenge the teams, but we don't want them to be burnt out, right? So it's kind of finding that sweet spot. And I think for us, a great way to do that is using capacity planning. So it isn't just about tracking hours. It's about looking at the most important work that everyone's doing, making sure it's delivering value. And also for me, it really gives that bird's eye view of those core projects and being able to say no to work that
Mm.
comes in, being able to go to my boss, my CEO, and say, actually, if you want us to take on anything else, here's everything we're working on. What's going to give? Because you can see that the team is at capacity. So it's not just an exercise in tracking the amount of work, but I think it's really nice for the teams to also see that as they're collaborating, they can see how much everyone else has on and where they're making an impact with that. So I think it's really useful for that sort of exercise, and I think it also helps to ask for more budgets. Like we're talking about budgets being squeezed when we're being asked for more resource. Although now I might ask for an AI teammate, but really when you're asked for more, ask for more to do more, this idea of marketers can do more with less is out the window now, and I think that really helps us to do that.
All right. So we just talked a bit about driving alignment across the entire organization and business and using that to help drive prioritization within our own teams. Now, I want to pivot a little bit to talk about alignment within marketing. Because one of the reasons why I love marketing so much is because there's so many different functions within marketing, right? There's product marketing, there's creative, there's brand, there's paid media, and the list goes on and on. And it's amazing, but it can also lead to siloed work if we're not super well orchestrated. And I'm a marketer, so if I were to have a t-shirt and put a slogan on it for my team, it would say hashtag no random acts of marketing. And so I want to talk a little bit about driving alignment within our own team and department. And so Angela, let's start with you because you're the head of internal creative and you have to drive a lot of this alignment. So how do you do that?
It's a very good question. I think it's a daily challenge that creative agencies or teams within marketing like creative have. You almost have to be a bit bilingual. You've got two languages to speak. You need to be able to speak to the business, understand strategic goals, that we see through Asana or elsewhere. We need to understand market trends as well. And we also need to manage stakeholders' visions. I think that's a bit of a balance that really comes into play. So we've got to do all of that, but we've also got to worry about the creative and operational excellence along that. So, we've got a big task to talk to and worry about the big things, but also focus on delivering on that alignment. So it's quite a challenge that we have to strike, but it's a good challenge.
And Vicky, I know you had some practical tips when we were had our prep call. Would you like to share some of those with the audience here?
Yeah, so there's in Workday there's two motions that we focus on. The first is to have a shared goal.
Hmm.
I think it's really, really important. Um, in Workday, the ultimate goal is pipeline, actually, because that's what the success of a company is. Now, you mentioned lots of fragmentation in marketing. Not all marketing teams are directly aligned to pipelines. So it's sort of bringing everyone on that journey to explain what they do, how does that ladder to pipeline, even your creative, how does that happen? So this one part is to make us all commercial marketeers so that we understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, and will it help the success of the business so we don't have marketing in green and the business in red. And part of that is alignment. So having that goal. So in Workday, we had an alignment program called Gather. So Gather is to kind of bring an operational rhythm in to try to break down those silos. So Gather stands for, I have to remember now, it's goals, it's audience. We're all working to the same audience. We're creating these joint journeys to the same audience. Tools, like things like Asana. We need to have a simplified tools that brings a global organization together that everyone is aware of. We don't have separate tools that are conflicting. So having that alignment through the tooling and the process and the cadence, where am I up to? So then it's H, harmonization. and then it's execution, and then it's reporting. So that's what Gather stands for. And it's creating that bedrock that basically underpins everything we do, that the plan sits on top with the pipeline as the overall goal. So it gives us as marketeers who always say, is that in the plan? Is that aligned to Gather? Does it help the success of the business?
I would love to hear a little bit more about just how you drive some of the rigor around the metrics and getting everybody steeped in those metrics. What are some of the North Star funnel metrics that you guys report on regularly? And like, what's the cadence and how do you get everybody on board and understand?
In Workday. So ultimately, it is pipeline and ACV. But then what we do is we've got these health of business dashboards, and we have a CMO dashboard, and everyone has access to that. That's not just for CMO, even though it's called a CMO dashboard. So we use those dashboards for bi-weekly health of the business. So we always come from the business first, and then we filter all the way down so that because everybody can see how their path is contributing to success, and if it's not, how we can optimize it and change it. So it's just really having that data first mindset and accountability. If you had your t-shirt is that, my t-shirt is accountability is sexy. Because I thought, yeah. So it is that. It's you. Everyone is accountable to success of the business. They have a role to play, and everyone needs that to be motivated as well. So it's having the dashboards in place, having the metrics that all add up.
Great.
Love that.
Yeah, I like that too. Okay, so by working more integrated and cross-functional, like we're no longer going to market by org chart, but we're really thinking about putting the customer at the center. And so, Lisa, I know that Awin has done a ton around this, and so I would love to hear a little bit more about your journey.
Yeah, this ties in really nicely actually with what Vicky was talking about. So I think data has to underpin everything. So no matter what you're measuring, whether it's on a lead gen on a pipeline basis or whether it's anything even in branding, you have to have the data back it all up. And most importantly, you need to pull in customer insights and customer feedback. So what we've recently done is introduced a customer insights role into marketing. And we had to fight really hard for this because the product team was like, no, we want that. But really, the idea was we get to be the voice of the customer. It sits within product marketing. We're listening to customers' feedback. So my t-shirt would be #customer obsessed. And it's this idea that we're really listening, we're getting the feedback, we're understanding those pain points, and then we're taking that information into the business and we're giving it to product. So you can build your product roadmap knowing this feedback from customers. We're then feeding that into sales so that when they're going out to RFPs and we're helping support in terms of winning new business or upselling and nurturing clients, we have that direct feedback. And we've really been able to do a lot of automation with that. So this person has come in and completely transformed how we do NPS. And all of these metrics tie in the same way of helping to deliver pipe, to helping to deliver upsell and cross-sell with customers and customer adoption. I mean, we're a similar platform like Asana. So for us, we have customers that just want to use the platform. We have customers that might want some add-on reports and might want service on top of that. To really know what they want and being able to funnel that through the business and give that feedback is really brilliant. And it's nice because marketing is now seen as that voice of the customer and really feeling that like that we're in charge of that. And it's a complete evolution from what you were talking about, Jess, of like the early kind of views of marketers as just being the creatives.
Yeah.
We're so much more than that when you combine customer data and your own data and what your kind of goals are. So it's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. We're no longer the marketers that are just in the corner drawing pretty pictures.
Exactly.
We have a strategic seat at the company table.
Absolutely.
Seat table.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift. This wouldn't be a complete panel without a topic on AI, right? AI is definitely here. It's not somewhere in the future, as you can see all around us and in the keynote. And I live in San Francisco in Silicon Valley. And as I drive up and down the highway, you're passing just AI billboards everywhere. And so it's really making us have to rethink the day-to-day workflows of our teams, how we restructure our teams potentially, and also how we upskill our teams to really meet the moment. And so how are you guys thinking about empowering your teams with AI? So, Lisa, why don't we start with you on this one?
Yeah, so it feels it feels like I'm a bit of like a small person coming off the back of what we've just seen, all the capabilities of what AI is going to be doing. But I think this idea, and I think Dan really hit it on the head that this idea of AI plus humans is really so crucial. And I think for the people that are fearful that it's going to take their jobs, I get it, but it's either you embrace it or you will be out of a job, and like that really is the view that we have. And so for my teams, we use AI daily, and we mostly use it as a starting point in the research phase of any project that we're doing. So we'll look at competitor landscape, we'll look at industry landscape, we'll look at sector landscape. So we kind of brief it on what we're trying to do, what we're trying to understand before we even start any sort of campaigns or projects. And then we try and use it really for a lot of the administrative kind of easy tasks that don't require that much strategic thought. So things like, an outline of content creation. We use, Claude and Jasper and all of these different great tools that you can sort of say, this is the topic I want to talk about. Help me write a brief for this, or give me the starting point of that content. And it can do that work in a fraction of the time that a human can. And it still needs the human touch, right? You have to make sure it aligns with your brand. It has to make sure it aligns with company goals, has to align with tone of voice. But you can get all of that after the fact. That's the human touch, right? But being able to do the initial phase of that, I think, is so important. And I think also video content creation is a huge one that we use it for. This idea of, text to video. We've been able to take scripts of stuff, put it in, and create videos out of it. That, I mean, again, the fraction of the time that would have taken just production wise. So I think there's so many things out there. And for us, my biggest thing that I send the team out with is test and learn, right? Go out, you come to me and tell me what we need budget for so that I can go and pitch for that stuff. And, I'm only one person. I have a team of 45. I'm like, I'm relying on you guys in all of your different pockets, the creative team, the product marketing team, ECRM team. Tell me what's going to be more beneficial. So we're sort of in the early phases of really adopting it, which is why I'm so excited to get started with what we've seen. But I think you absolutely have to embrace it, or we will be out of a job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Angela, over to you. I would
Yeah.
love to hear a little bit about how you guys.
Certainly, a lot like you, actually. I think we're at that formative stage of using AI. Yeah, lots to get on with, which is really exciting. I think just to look back at what you were saying, it's definitely for me not about replacing humans. It's about enabling humans. And I would far rather my creative team be focused on strategizing and developing and using their brain power for good, not moving tasks through or whatever else they need to do that's a little bit more mundane. So we definitely lean into that right now in terms of taking those mundane tasks away. We also have been we come from quite a regulated business, so we've done two really exciting things. We've trialed a tone of voice checker, which is really exciting, that we've built out of an agent. And secondly, a bit of a regs checker as well, so that we can kind of get through those little speed bumps that we have in our creative process a bit better. They're not fully implemented into the business, but it's just, again, testing and learning. Where do we need to go and push on that? The other thing I just wanted to touch on is that it's definitely not a business down mandate. Like, again, I actively push for the teams to bring those challenges. And I'm going to embarrass him now, but I have a colleague here today called David, and I call him my AI influencer. He's part copywriter, and he's actually part AI enthusiast. So he is my center point to kind of come to me with the challenges to what we see in our team and the challenges we see where AI could help, and for us to go on that journey together to really push the boundaries in using AI. So yeah, I think it has to sit in your team and not be something that's kind of pushed from a corporate level down.
Yeah, what we found within Asana, and also in talking to a lot of customers, is when
Yeah.
we have the AI influencer, they really are the tide that rises all the boats
Yeah.
around them. I think the hardest part, I think for like my team, as an example, is like just knowing how to get started with AI and what kind of use cases to use it for, right? And so we actually have some AI enthusiasts within our team. And they formed a bit of a council,
Yeah.
and we have different folks from different departments that will sit down and they'll just brainstorm ways to infuse it. And my favorite use case that I've seen within my team is I have field marketers that are all around the globe. And oftentimes in region, we have very lean teams. So I have a marketing manager that sits in Singapore, and she's the only one for all of APAC. And we have a new partner marketing program that just launched, and a very demanding partner leader who wants all these new partner stories. And so Leona actually built with AI Studio an agent that helps take in call notes, and she's loaded it in voice and tone guidelines and our brand guidelines, and actually spits out a first pass of the PDF for these partner stories. And it takes her about like 80% of the way there, right? It's not all the way there. We need the human in the loop to really like read it and make sure it's good. And then then there's workflows that then sends the PDFs to the folks in HQ that also need to review and approve. And so what that's done is it's allowed her to then free up time so she can continue to build more relationships with more partners, to help feed that funnel and do things like events and et cetera, more strategic, human-centric things that AI can't do.
Can I just jump in on that
Yeah,
actually,
yeah,
Jess?
please.
Because I think what I think is going to be really powerful with this stuff is I saw where you've created a few of these agents already,
Yeah.
but actually the build your own is going to be so powerful for you guys to see you have, I don't know, 1,000 of your customers here to be able to build their own and then see what challenges they're actually solving to then, teach the AI even more and build out more of these. It's just, I mean, we're just at the start of this. It's so exciting to see we're being back here this time next year and see how many of those agents you have, how they've evolved over time. It's going to be remarkable. I think this is the time to really do that test and learn. And I think as marketers, we all have like a duty of care to ourselves to share that as much as possible. And that's what I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Just wanted to add that.
Oh, I love that. I buy it. Um, yeah. And so, Vicky, I mean, I would love to chat with you a bit about, as your teams are freeing up time to become more strategic, right? What are some of the things that you're doing to upskill your team now that they do have more time to be more strategic?
Yes. So it's great to hear from Angela and Lisa that we are going to be able to be more productive because we are freeing up this time. But I think it's really important to bring all of our teams onto the journey with this, especially if you have large teams. Like sometimes it can be a little bit intimidating, to be honest, to AI.
Yeah, it's true.
Some people, so it's kind of creating that culture of test and learn, of curiosity. So, for instance, in Workday, we're just giving everyone an AI goal for this fiscal year. And that can be anything. That can be anything. That can be experimenting with the tools that they've got in their hands. It can be building workflows. It can be just learning how to do a prompt, to do a proper prompt. And that's kind of where we're starting. It's just getting that curiosity going. And as a leader, it's very much like, how do we boost the human part? Like the digital and the human workforce, it is where we're moving to. It's life now. But how do we have the human work hand in hand with the digital? And it's, as a leader, it's like, how do you boost the human skills? So there's been a lot of things mentioned today about collaboration. It's a huge thing, as in the keynote. Collaboration is critical. That's not what AI can do, but we need to keep collaborating together. Second thing is like design thinking, critical thinking. These are skills we will always need because it's not AI doing our role for us. It's how do we work with AI, not through AI. So we need to put in that critical thinking, that design thinking, and that's the creativity. That's what makes us unique and human. So the creativity is really important on how do we work with AI, because we don't want to just create AI agents or AI just for the sake of it and go, hey, I've created something. There has to be a reason to why. And as I mentioned earlier, we know our audience. We understand our businesses. So how can we use AI, work through AI to do that better? So it's bringing everyone really together with that view.
I want to go back to something that you said earlier, and it was around metrics for success.
Yeah.
Right, as we're testing, what are some of the metrics that you guys might be using in your other organizations to measure how effective your teams are with AI? Do you guys have any?
In terms of AI,
Yeah, AI.
specifically no, we're not measuring success on any of that yet. One thing we are putting in place, so we're building out a strategy now for next year around like SEO, obviously. So now moving into GEO, right? Like how are you going to actually change your campaigns? It's no longer about Google searches. It's about how are you optimizing for that, and things where you can, you start to see a increase in share of search, things like that, unbranded things like that wouldn't have happened before. Those will probably be metrics that we will start to check. And we're going to end up trying to run different campaigns. We're going to be testing some campaigns that we would have run through AI, and then we can check engagement and interactions and things like that on that side. But we're not actually tracking anything specifically yet in terms of AI.
Yeah, it's a really good point because we're at the same points. Like you don't want to suddenly wake up and find you've been sleeping when it is a fundamental shift in marketing on how buyers buy and how they seek information. So it's starting, I'd really recommend everyone needs to sort of start thinking now. If you're in marketing, is to start thinking now and be prepared. So there's no metrics yet, but the metrics will be when suddenly you'll just see everything just fall off a cliff. So, but on the other side, the other flip to in terms of what we are doing today, which is about it's really the productivity metrics, speed to market. How much time have we saved? And it's just having that operational rigor to know how long does it take to currently localize from American English into German. How long does it currently take? How many people are involved? And what's the saving then? And how can we reuse that amazing resource to think and put their time into more higher value activities? So it's really around the productivity at the moment in work.
Yeah, that's the same in how we're looking at it as well. It's like time to market is one of our main metrics that we're starting to look at. And then it's like just really interesting how we can change up the marketing mix and the spend mix.
Yeah.
Because we're freeing up, dollars in different ways.
Yeah.
And the other one too is you mentioned workflows and just folks building more workflows. One of the other metrics that we look at is um, the number of workflows that are used by other people or other departments, right? Because that's when it's like that's when there really is the unlock, when there's cross collaboration across teams using one workflow. That's when you really see the magic. And so it's not just the individual workflow, but team.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Challenge that.
Yeah, it's a real challenge, but it's such a gold mine, really, that I think at the moment, AI, everyone is playing with it and thinking about it within their teams. And you just mentioned silos at the beginning, and it's like content. There's so many teams in the business that creates content. You have customer success, you have product marketing, you have engineers. Everyone is creating content, presenting to sales are creating content, all in a silo. And this is where you do need to bring that collaboration together and that sharing so that we are working as one and the unified in a unified way. It's critically important.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being up here with us today. It's so lovely to have you. And thank you all for attending. We'll be out and around the expo and other sessions. And so we'd love to continue the conversation. And before you guys go, I was told I have a CTA because we're good marketers here. We have a customer success bar outside. And so if you guys have questions on your instance of Asana and how to be more effective, please stop by and see one of our experts. And we also have an amazing demo zone, including a demo just for marketers. And so we'll see you guys out there. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.